In the blues, the culture was based on gratitude, a sense of having thankfulness for what you got to do, but more importantly, who you got to work with. The trust you had to have that enabled you to achieve such a high level of performance. You come to the blues as a flight leader, not having been on the team before. Almost every selection of a new boss, the boss has never flown before with the blues. There's a few exceptions, but not many. And so I got called to lead the team, uh, 2 years. That's all we get to do because we want to stay very, very positive and upbeat for 2 years. And it's hard. It's a hard commitment. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of interaction with the public, and you want that to stay strong and positive and sincere. The sincerity that we have with the people around us was important and the people we get to meet. So I got my 2 years, had the pleasure of taking the team overseas. We actually flew an air show over Moscow, which has never been done since or had been done before. A great guy came in behind me, highly qualified, ready to go. Got in there, trained the new team, spent about 6 months on the team, and then had to get set aside for some questions about something that occurred the September before. He was exonerated. I want that to be known right up front. Eventually exonerated, but in the meantime, he had to step aside. So that's when I got to come in, and I got the call. Would I be willing to? They didn't order me to. And I said, of course, absolutely. The Blue Angels are very important to the Navy and to the American public. The people love this activity that we bring to them. I think my currency, my most, I was the most recently uh, uh, released or transferred flight leader they had. So that made that transition better for the Navy because we could get back on the road again pretty darn quickly, and that's what we did. So there were other times when a boss had been called back for one tour, but to have it happen twice, that was a rarity. That had not happened and has not happened since. And that's a good thing because we don't want to have issues and problems and challenges facing the new folks when they come in to lead the team. I had a lot of confidence from the people in the formation because a couple of them had already flown with me, and they could pass that assurance that we were going to do well to the other team members, and that was a big factor. That made it a lot easier. So I had a good time. Came back and we got it done. What was important for us when we selected new team members was not their flying skills, that talent. No, we could train. We had a training regimen that was so well refined that we could take a naval aviator that had flown on aircraft carriers, which is a pretty demanding skill in and of itself, and we could bring them to the level, could fly with the Blue Angels based on the training regimen, the developing beliefs in yourself, which sometimes took a setback in the challenges of learning how to fly like this. So we had to continually pump up people and pump their beliefs in themselves up. But getting that self-belief together and ready to go so that you could go around this training performance uh, framework and learn how to fly. We knew we could do that. We knew the flying skills could be taught. What you can't so much change is personality. We wanted people that were humble, reliable, and that we could get along with 300 days out of the year. That's how much time we spent together and on the road, more than you would have with your family. So we had to be able to trust each other, and the personality is where that came in because we had to have humility. Uh, you can imagine getting to fly those big blue airplanes and wear those flight suits, how you could fall into the realm of maybe assessing yourself as some sort of a rock star. And we did not allow that to happen. Every show site we went to would have the Make-A-Wish Foundation bring the kids out, and we got to see some real rock stars there. Those boys and girls that were facing a life challenge that was much more impactful than what we had to do. We're just going to go out and fly airplanes. Hard work. Appreciated the opportunity to do that, but we got to see these youngsters that were the real rock stars. So maintaining humility was crucial to the success of the team, and might have been another reason why the tour was only 2 years, so that you kept that sincerity toward meeting others and being with other people. In any job, the dangers you face can be marked by physical danger or fear of failure, anything like that, but there's always going to be challenges, right, in what you do, and especially as a leader. I would say in a leadership position, whether it's leading the Blue Angels or leading a company division, most important thing is to be able to listen and listen intently to those around you and develop trust agreements to where you have people that you know you can get the right answers from, or get good answers, honest answers from. That's probably the most important thing in being a leader is being able to trust those around you. But to get to that, you have to be able to listen. And that was one of the beauties of the debrief, the way we listened to each other. Not only listened, but we were able to express ourselves without fear. So if you can drive fear out of the workplace, you're going to be able to have that listening be really rich with ideas and thoughts that people can bring to you, because they don't fear that what they say might diminish their position.
And then I even called turning left when we were turning right. So it went pretty good for me up until we got there. I was just happy to be here and glad to be here.
A lot of times it's, vulnerability, but there's strength in vulnerability. So if you can have that culture going where you can be vulnerable and still be valued and still be productive, that's pretty darn important as you learn to lead and develop your leadership skills. In the Blues, the culture was based on gratitude, a sense of having thankfulness for what you got to do, but more importantly, who you got to work with, and because you had the trust that was there. So the gratitude was like the concrete foundation of a building. It held that culture up. It held up those ways of doing business, like briefing and the debriefing. It held them up because you were thankful that they were there and that you were working with the people you got to see day in and day out. But you needed something to hold that concrete together, to hold that culture up, and that was what I like to say was the rebar, the iron rods that kept that concrete from cracking, and the rebar translates into trust. The trust you had to have to keep that gratitude, and that's what gave you the gratitude. That's what gave you the thankfulness, that you could trust those around you. You had that trust contract, those agreements that enabled you to achieve such a high level of performance, because you could always count on the people around you if things went wrong or when they went right, that the way we did our business was based on trust, and we could just count on people because they share what they have done wrong in their vulnerability, that you could get back on track. You could bring the team back on track. When you couldn't, if there's something that's challenging one of the teammates, could have been me, could have been others, you say, look, I just can't figure this out. Let's have, and you have mentoring. You'd have folks that had done it before or are willing to share with you how they handled issues, right? It goes back again to the cultural disciplines that were there that allowed you to correct and get better. We did see a couple of times with our debriefing process where something was not related properly. Someone wasn't as accurate or humble with what they were going to say that they had done. And we were able to understand that, and then one-on-one, as you do in leadership, you counsel or punish in private and you praise in public. You take the person aside and say, hey, look, what you related was not accurate, and you know that, right? And so you have a little correction there, you have a little ding in that trust. The trust is bruised a little bit. So you have to take some actions to bring that back together. And usually it's a one-on-one thing, not a in front of everybody say, man, why did you do that? You screwed that up. Because that's exactly what we don't want to have happen, because then the fear comes back into the entire workplace. We want to do it one-on-one, individually, and get those corrective actions going. You don't get immediate rebuild of the trust, but you started on the road to bringing it back together. And it always worked that way. It always worked fine. You're sharing a way forward that would make the team heal, right? And make the team feel better about being able to trust that individual. They will know that that person has been counseled on how to get back into the groove of being totally trustworthy. So those are the things that kind of, when you institutionalize, when you make them a discipline, a protocol, a way of working, it really made it much, much more rewarding and made your level of excellence right up there. The other thing about leadership is all too often people in leadership positions walk around grumpy, and it's not grumpy at individuals, it's grumpy because they're feeling the weight of the stress of what's going on around them and the goals they're trying to achieve. They let it weight them down to where they lose sight of the things around them. So I would say work really hard to make it look like you are having a great time being a leader, and you're getting great personal satisfaction out of being able to listen to others and then work with them and help them to grow. Because I always would say to people around me, I want you to have my job someday, right? I want you to see that this job is something that is just so rewarding. It's a lot of work, a lot of challenges, but it's something I would want everybody to do. So going back to the question of how do you present something to someone to grow, I would just say, listen, be yourself, because as I grew watching other leaders, one of the things I loved to see in a leader was somebody that could tell a joke, right? Oh, it was so funny. And you wanted to hear more, you want to listen more. I couldn't tell a joke. I mean, I can relate things and get some fun out of it, but I can't string together a story that makes a joke. I wish I could. I wanted to be able to do that, to be a leader, but I couldn't. So I had to rely on other things. And you'll find your strengths. You'll find strengths in your ability to lead. What gives you that credibility? What makes people want to be around you and with you and follow you and listen to you and do what you ask them to do? What are those things? They're not going to be. So as you grow in life, you look at people around that are leaders and you go, oh, I like that technique that person used, and I think I can do that, or I like that. So you get those techniques, but you also look at, you get into a position where you're looking at a leader, oh, I could never do that. I'm not sure I would want to do that. But soon, after 3-6 months of watching that person, you go, yeah, that looks like a very interesting life. It looks like something I could do, and this is what I would do. It might be a little different, but I think I could do that, right? And grow like that and start to feel that strength that comes from confidence while maintaining your humility. So those are a couple things I would tell people. You want to be healthy, right? Whatever that takes. If you want to get on a treadmill, if you want to go for walks, go hiking, you got to do something that refreshes you physically, but at the same time, you want to learn to get refreshed mentally and emotionally and spiritually. But maintaining that building that you live in, right? Whatever that takes is really important. And it shows that you care about yourself. And when you care about yourself, you will care about others. And make a good impression on people around you. So it's all about that leadership image that you want to develop. That's good. And also showing that it's okay to take time out to refresh relax. So even working out is refreshing, right? You're straining yourself, you're making your body work. And again, it could be getting on a 2-on-2 basketball game in the gym or something, but stay active physically. That's really important.